Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Canto 9, Liberation, Chapter 13, the dynasty of Maharaj Nimi. And I'm going to share my screen so we can all read. Okay.
Yeah.
Maharaj, okay, yeah, we'll do Sanskrit. Yasya yogam na vanchanti viyoga bhaya kataraha bhajanti charanam bojam munyo hari medhasaha. Yasya, with the body, yogam, contact, na, do not, vanchanti, jnani's desire, viyoga bhaya kataraha, being afraid of giving up the body again, bhajanti, offer transcendental love and service, charana ambhojam. Okay, somebody's talking to interface. Right. Charnambojam, to the lotus feet of the Lord. Munayaha, great saintly persons. Hari Medhasaha, whose intelligence is always absorbed in thoughts of Hari, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada, His Divine Grace. Maharaj Nimi continued, Mayavadis generally want freedom from accepting a material body because they fear having to give it up again. But devotees whose intelligence is always filled with the service of the Lord are unafraid. Devotees are unafraid. Indeed, they take advantage of the body to render transcendental love and service. Purport. Maharaj Nimi did not want to accept a material body, which would be a cause of bondage, because he was a devotee. He wanted a body by which he could render devotional service to the Lord. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur sings, Janma bi more icha yaditora bhakta grihe jani janmaha mora kita janmaha yata tu yadasa. The translation, my Lord, if you want me to take birth and accept a material body again, kindly do me this favor. Allow me to take birth in the home of your servant, your devotee. I do not mind being born there, even as an insignificant creature like an insect. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also said, Nadanam najanam nasundarim kavitam va jagadisha kamaye mama janmani janmanishvare bhavatad bhaktir ahutaki tvai. O Lord of the universe, Lord Chaitanya says, I do not desire material wealth, materialistic followers, a beautiful wife, or fruitive activities described in flowery language. All I want, life after life, is unmotivated devotional service to you. Shikshashtakam, verse 4. By saying life after life, Janmani, Janmani, the Lord referred not to an ordinary birth, but a birth in which to remember the lotus feet of the Lord. Such a body is desirable. A devotee does not think like yogis and jnanis who want to refuse all a material body and become one with the impersonal Brahman effulgence. A devotee does not like this idea. A devotee does not like this idea. On the contrary, he will accept anybody, material or spiritual, for he wants to serve the Lord. This is real liberation. If one has a strong desire to serve the Lord, even if he accepts a material body, there's no cause of anxiety, since a devotee, even in a material body, is a liberated soul. This is confirmed by Srila Rupa Goswami. Isha yasya hare dasye karmana manasa gira nikala svaipi avashtasu jivan mukta sa uchate. A person acting in Krishna consciousness, or in other words, in the service of Krishna, with his body, mind, intelligence, and words, is a liberated person, even within the material world. Although he may be engaged in many so-called material activities, the desire to serve the Lord establishes one as liberated in any condition of life, whether in a spiritual body or a material body. In a spiritual body, the devotee becomes a direct associate of the Lord. But even though a devotee may superficially appear to be in the material body, he is always liberated and is engaged in the same duties of service to the Lord as a devotee in the Vaikuntha Loka, in the spiritual world. There is no distinction. It is said, Sadhu jivo va maro va, whether a devotee is alive or dead, his only concern is to serve the Lord. Tyaktva deham punar janma naiti mamati. When he gives up his body, he goes directly to become an associate of the Lord and serve him. Although he does the same thing even in the material body, in the material world. Now, for a devotee, there is no pain, pleasure, or material perfection. One may argue that at the time of death, a devotee also suffers because of giving up his material body. But in this connection, the example may be given that a cat carries a mouse in his mouth and also carries a kitten in his mouth. Both the mouse and the kitten are carried by the same mouth, but the perception of the mouse is different from that of the kitten. When a devotee gives up his body, tyaktva deham, he's ready to go back home, back to Godhead. Thus, his perception is certainly different from that of a person being taken away by Yamaraj, the Lord of Death, for punishment. A person whose intelligence is always concentrated upon the service of the Lord is unafraid of accepting a material body, whereas a non-devotee, having no engagement in the service of the Lord, is very much afraid of accepting a material body or giving up his present one. Therefore, we should follow the instruction of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Mama janmanishvare bhavat bhaktir ahutuki tvayi. It doesn't matter whether we accept a material body or a spiritual body. Our only ambition should be to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Om Jnana-timirandasya Gyananjala Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yenai Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, but my spiritual master is opening my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him again and again and again. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Putale Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Nitinamine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatadine. Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shivas Adi Gaura Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay, stop share. Okay, good morning, everybody. I'm going to keep an eye on the waiting room to be able to admit people who are coming in late. Okay. So today's verse is and the purport is very rich. And I felt very glad that I got this verse, because some other verses are describing this dynasty, that this person was born of this person and that king was born of that king, and those big lists. So I didn't get the big list, which is good. It was easy for me to prepare for this class. So a little backstory. Maharaj Nimi was a king who got cursed by his guru. And he also had cursed his guru in the first place, because his guru wasn't available. No. First, his guru cursed him because he started the yagya with other brahmanas. He was not able to wait for his guru to come and perform the yagya, and proceeded with the yagya anyways. And he got cursed to die by his own guru. And then he cursed his own guru to die. He counter-cursed his guru to die, and they both died. They both gave up their bodies. And then somehow or other, their bodies, they were able to, his guru was able to reappear in the world in a very interesting way, in a very particular way. Two great personalities saw another great personality, a society woman from heavenly planets, and they discharged semen, and then this semen got preserved, and then out of this semen, his guru was able to reappear in the material world. And when the brahmanas they had preserved Maharaj Nimi's body, and they tried to bring him back to life also. He said, "I'm not interested, please don't do it. I don't want to go back. I don't want to accept another material body. I don't want to go back there again in the material world." And this is the verse today. This is Maharaj Nimi when they were trying to bring his body back to life. He spoke the words that we read today. Maharaj Nimi said that I'm not interested. He says, Mayavadis generally want freedom from accepting the material body because they fear having to give it up again. So he was saying that I'm not interested in another material body. I'm only interested in devotional service. Therefore, I want a body in which I'll be able to perform devotional service and go on with my service. And Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport that he takes it even further. Srila Prabhupada says that Mayavadis, they disregard the material body. They're not interested in material body. Whereas a devotee is eager to take material body and perform devotional service in the material body. Because in the end of the day, it doesn't matter whether you're dead or alive, whether you are in spiritual body or in the material body. If you are able to perform devotional service, if you stick to your service, then this is liberation. This is our destination, devotional service. Our destination is not spiritual world per se. Our destination, our aspiration is devotional service. And for that, we don't have to give up our body. We don't have to change our body. We don't have to neglect our body or improve our bodily situation. We have to use what we've been given by Krishna and go on with our devotional service, with what our Guru wants us to do, with what is pleasing to our community, with what's pleasing to Srila Prabhupada. So that's real liberation. That's where Srila Prabhupada takes Maharaj Nimi's point. He says it doesn't matter ultimately whether you take birth or you don't take birth, whether you take birth in the material world or in the spiritual realm. This doesn't matter as long as you are situated in devotional service under the guidance of the Guru, in the association of the devotees. Srila Prabhupada says further in the purport that you can even take birth as an insect as long as you are situated in the association of devotees. He quotes Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's bhajan. My Lord, even if you want me to take birth and accept a material body again, no problem, but please do me a favor. Allow me to take birth in the home of your servant, your devotee. So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, one of our greatest acharyas, doesn't mind taking birth, even as an insect, as long as he's situated in the association of the devotee, in the household of the devotees, where Krishna Katha is being heard, where service is being performed, where devotees discuss Krishna. So that's the household of a devotee. And even as an insect, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is eager to take birth there because he understands that it's up to Krishna. The devotee doesn't have preferences. He's eager to do what Krishna wants. Okay. And then Lord Chaitanya says, birth after birth, I want to remember you. So I don't mind taking birth. Lord Chaitanya says in Shikshashtaka, birth after birth, Janmani, Janmani. We read in the purport. Lord Chaitanya himself describes that he doesn't mind taking birth after birth as long as I am able to remember you. As long as I remember you, my Lord, I don't mind, Lord Chaitanya says. And yogis and jnanis, they may have their preferences, but the devotee is above that. The devotee is very radical acceptance of Krishna's will. That's a devotee. And then in the purport, Srila Rupa Goswami, another great acharya in our sampradaya, in our lineage, describes how a person acting in Krishna consciousness with his body, mind, intelligence. In other words, we take birth, we have body, we have mind, sometimes uncontrolled. We have intelligence, sometimes polluted. But if we engage all this in devotional service, we are considered liberated, even within the material world, even within this realm where everybody's consciousness is polluted by material desires, by selfish agenda. We can be liberated if we are acting in Krishna consciousness. And Srila Prabhupada says, in other words, in devotional service, in the service of Krishna. So we get liberated. And there's a beautiful analogy that Srila Prabhupada mentions in the purport of a mother cat or a lioness, a cat carries a mouse in his mouth about to eat it, to end its life. Or the same mouse can carry a kitten, a baby. That's an act of care, act of love. And the consciousness of this rat or a mouse that is about to be devoured by the cat is drastically different from the consciousness of the kitten, which feels the care, which feels the protection. Sometimes a devotee is described as a dog on a leash, and the leash allows the devotee to feel that the Lord is holding the leash, that the Lord is there, and therefore the devotee can bark at any bigger dog he wants. The devotee has no fear. It says in the purport, devotees have no fear because they understand that that's this mouth that is carrying me. Non-devotees, they see this mouth, they view it as death. So that's the consciousness of a rat. That's the consciousness of a rat. But the devotee sees that this mouth is actually Krishna's loving hand. I'm being carried by Krishna's loving hand. It's very strong. It's pulling my leash. I'm on the leash. The leash is Shastra. The leash is Guru, and Krishna is holding the leash very tightly. Does not allow me to detour, and I feel protected. So that's the consciousness of a kitten being carried by the loving, in the loving mouth of the lioness mother bear, they say, mama bear. So therefore, when a devotee gives up his body, he's ready to go back home, back to Godhead. He's ready. Devotee is ready. Devotee has no fear. And I recently went to this dentist's office that I hadn't done in many years because I was fearful. I was fearful to go there. I didn't want to hear what they had to say about my mouth. So finally, I went there, and I had a very interesting realization in the dentist chair. Because I hadn't done this in a long time, I was kind of in the dark. I didn't know what was about to happen, what they were gonna tell me, what they were gonna do to me. And I got in this chair, and the chair went back down. I reclined all the way back. And this was the bright light shining right smack into my face. And I was going back down. I was reclining back. And I was feeling, gosh, I thought that I had no fear of death. I thought I was a liberated soul. I thought I was prepared. But this little experience, this tiny, insignificant dentist chair experience, brought me back to my senses because I felt very, very uncomfortable going back down in the darkness. I said, this must be how death will be like. I'm going back down, I'm reclining. There's nothing behind me, and I'm going back. I can see what's behind me. And I'm reclining further back down, and there's shining light. I can't see anything. And this felt very uncomfortable, very uncomfortable. And I thought, this is what death must be like. Experience of death. You're going back, you're not sure what's about to happen. And then Krishna consciousness offers a different experience, a drastically different experience. You understand that this dentist chair, where they are about to cut you open, put this balloon rubber, pull it over your mouth and get their tools and stick their tools into your mouth, that this dentist chair is actually Krishna's loving. I didn't have that realization, but this is the consciousness where a devotee should be situated at all times, understanding that this uncomfortable position, this ridiculous position where I'm helpless, I can't even talk. Oh, I'm like that in this dentist chair. We should remember that Krishna's got our back. This soft dentist chair is Krishna. And it is Krishna's arrangement that we are put in this ridiculous situation in the material body where we have to wash it, we have to take it to the bathroom, we have to brush teeth. It's this material body, devotees say often, it's an embarrassment. It's an embarrassment. in space. It's also a temple, also one Pinky. I didn't go to the emergency room. I didn't do anything. I just patched it and it healed. So this body is a wonderful gift from Krishna that is capable of doing so many wonderful things in devotional service, in the service of Krishna. We just have to offer it right back to Krishna. If we find ourselves in an awkward situation, dentist chair-like situation, we should understand this is Krishna working in my life. I should happily accept it, not just tolerate, but happily, joyfully tolerate it and use it as best as we can in the devotional service. So, do we have any comments, angles of vision, contributions at this point before I move on? Adipusha has something.
If I can move up there. We had an interesting experience a little while ago. There's an elderly Russian lady dentist here in the East Village, Dr. Vitrenko. You know her?
She's retired.
Really funny, and she retired. So I went to the dentist. I had an appointment at 3:30 at that same dentist, right? I was waiting. They have many different little dentist office, dentist, you know, each room in there has a chair and the lights and everything. So I'm waiting for Dr. Vitrenko. Half an hour goes by. I'm sitting in the chair. Another half an hour goes by. Another half an hour goes by. One attendant. What's going on? Where's Dr. Vitrenko? You know, I had an appointment an hour and a half ago, and I could hear this talking going on in the room next door and laughing. And finally, I just got up and I went in there, and Krishna Bhakta was in there. And he was talking to her. He had all this stuff in his mouth, and he's talking to her, and they're laughing, and he's preaching to her. And then he gets up and they high five. This elderly dentist. He's high fiving the dentist and he's hugging the dentist, and they're laughing. And I was like, oh my God, you know, even in the dentist, he's preaching, you know, and it was just the most extraordinary thing. An hour and a half of talking to this dentist, even with all the things in his mouth, you know. So, you know, we can be in an awkward situation and helplessly carried through a situation like the kitten being carried by the mother cat. But the devotee is transcendental and can preach even in hell. Narayana Parasave Nakatashi. Devotee doesn't care whether he goes to heaven or hell. Prabhupada said if you take a threshing machine to hell, it threshes wheat. If you take it to heaven, it threshes wheat. So in any circumstance, we can preach. We can serve Krishna. And sometimes people are thinking they have to change their external circumstance. But actually what we want to change is our consciousness that, okay, Lord, thank you. You know what you're doing. This is not what I prefer, not what I understand, not what I expected, but it's got to be perfect because Krishna's in control and Krishna's our friend. And how can I serve you under this circumstance? So I'll let you go. It's so funny, the dentist story.
Okay. Does anybody have nothing like the dentist chair to bring you back to Krishna? Hari Bol, iPhone says. Hemangi, so true. Does anybody have a dentist chair experience that they want to share? Or near-death experience that they want to share that brought them back to senses?
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Ananda Vihari Prabhu. Yes, I actually was laughing when you used that as an example because I also used to have very big anxiety of going to the dentist. And it wasn't until I came to Krishna consciousness that I was able to have positive experience of going to the dentist because I would just bring my japa with me and I would do japa while I was in the waiting room. And as soon as the anxiety, like the thoughts would come up, I'd be like, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. And I would just I would have my best chanting when I was at the dentist's office because I was so scared. I was so scared. And then I would just be chanting, so like at the dentist, they gave you an option to watch the TV if you wanted to distract yourself. And I was like, no, please turn it off. I'm just going to chant. And a lot of times I would end up having these really interesting conversations. Obviously, when I didn't have stuff in my mouth, I wasn't like the Prabhu that could talk while he had things in his mouth. But I would have these really interesting conversations with the technicians because they would ask me, oh, what is that? What are you chanting? What does it mean? And I wasn't going in there meaning to preach, but they would ask me. So I would have to answer. And then in having this conversation, I would get more relaxed and I would just keep chanting. And I just was laughing so hard when you brought up the example of a dentist, because that was some of my best experiences of preaching, was being in the dentist chair and talking to the technicians about why I'm chanting so forcefully, because I was so scared.
Nice. This is a devotee. A devotee brings Krishna in the mix. Whether you're in the dentist chair or in any other chair, you bring Krishna in the mix, you throw Krishna in there, and everything immediately calms down. You come back to your senses. Everything becomes clear, joyful, peaceful. Anybody else want to share anything? Okay, so I just wanted to share quickly how a devotee reacts to a difficult situation, which is sometimes, these two personalities, they cursed each other and they counter-cursed, but Srimad Bhagavatam, they cursed back. But Srimad Bhagavatam has other examples where other devotees were being cursed and they took it differently. So there's one story of Chitraketu. He was a king somewhere on the heavenly planets, and he was flying around on his Vimana, the flower petal airplane, and he saw down there was Lord Shiva meditating, and Lord Shiva, Chitraketu saw that Lord Shiva had his wife sitting on his lap, and he was like, "What is this? Is this a joke? How come?" He's posing himself as a great yogi, but he's got his wife sitting on his lap. So what is that? What kind of yogi is that? I'm paraphrasing in a very rough way. It's a more refined story. And then Chitraketu got cursed by Shiva's wife, Mother Parvati. And who do you think you are, Judge Lord Shiva? I curse you to take birth as a demon. You speak like a demon. You judge devotees by their externals. Therefore, you should take birth as a demon. And Chitraketu took it in a very mature way. This is how devotees take curses. Here is the verse. It's 6 Canto 6:17-17, easy to remember. The verse is, Chitraketu said, "My dear mother," he says to Shiva's wife, "with my own hands folded together, I accept the curse upon me. I do not mind the curse, for happiness and distress are given by the demigods as a result of one's past deeds." And Srila Prabhupada explains, since Chitraketu was a devotee of the Lord, he was not at all disturbed by the curse of Mother Parvati. He knew very well that one suffers or enjoys the results of one's past deeds as ordained by Daivanetra, superior authority, or the agents of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When there is a curse coming our way, we understand this actually has been ordained by Krishna. Chitraketu knew that he had not committed any offenses at the lotus feet of Lord Shiva or the goddess Parvati. Apparently his heart was pure and he was genuinely confused by what he saw. He was genuinely confused. How come Shiva is such a great yogi and he's got a woman sitting on his lap? He was genuinely confused, and it's not exactly an offense. And Chitraketu knew that. Then Srila Prabhupada explains, yet he had been punished. By this means that the punishment had been ordained. yet he had been punished. And this means, so there was no offense on his part, apparently, yet he was cursed, he was punished, which means it was ordained by the Lord. Thus, the king did not mind it. A devotee is naturally so humble and meek that he accepts any condition of life as a blessing from the Lord. Tate anukampams Shri. That's the Bhagavatam verse that says one should be patiently tolerating the conditions of life, all the while offering obeisances to the Lord and going on with the service, and thus the liberation will be his rightful claim. That's the Tate anukampam Shikshamano verse. A devotee always accepts punishment from anyone, as the mercy of the Lord. If one lives in this conception of life, he sees whatever reverses occur to be due to his past misdeeds. So in other words, that's radical acceptance. I accept it, it's mine. I must have done something in the past and it's coming back to me. I'm taking it. It's ordained by the Lord. And therefore, he never accuses anyone. We don't point fingers. The devotee don't counter curse or don't try to come up with an excuse. We accept. It's radical acceptance. Jai Jagannath Prabhu often says. Radical acceptance of what? Krishna's will. So he sees whatever reverses occur to be due to his past misdeeds, and therefore he never accuses anyone. On the contrary, he becomes increasingly attached to the Supreme Personality of Godhead because of his being purified by his suffering. In other words, it becomes like a game. Krishna may make it tough for us, but then we learn to be blissful and to see Krishna's loving hand in it. And it becomes like, again, a game. It becomes exciting experience. Let me see if I can see Krishna in these circumstances. Let me see if I can go on in my service. Can I do it? Am I bold? Am I tough? Can I go on with my service? Can I be creative and find a way to adjust my service the best I can under this circumstance? It becomes exciting. Krishna consciousness is exciting. It's joyful, and Krishna makes it very interesting. It's never dull, never a dull moment if we are surrendered. Okay. Because so the devotee is happy suffering because he understands that he is being purified by the Lord. Suffering, therefore, is also a process of purification, Srila Prabhupada says in the purport. So, whether it's a curse or a blessing, a devotee converts everything into a blessing. There's no curse for a devotee. There is no. Even a curse becomes a blessing. Chitraketu take birth as Vritrasura, as a great demon, and he was successful in his life, in his devotional life. He got killed by Indra, and he said, "Kill me, I'm a devotee of the Lord." And he spoke very elevated verses. He preached to Indra. That's a perfection of life. To take curse as a blessing and capitalize on that, take advantage of this curse. Even in this story of Maharaj Nimi, who got cursed to die by his guru, which is interesting. So he took advantage of this curse by saying, "I don't want to take birth again. I got killed, no problem. I don't want to take birth again. I want a spiritual body where I can go on with my service to the Lord." Okay, so we're talking about curses and blessings. And I have a question for you. What is the fuel in one's devotional life? What is the fuel in the devotee's life? How does a devotee get ahead in his devotional life, in his life? How does a devotee make progress? What's the fuel of our progress? You can type in the chat board, or you can unmute yourself and speak. Okay, what's the fuel? It has to do with what we've been discussing here. Okay, I'm gonna start giving out hints. It's I'll give you.
Challenges in our life.
Kartik says tolerance. Okay, that's good fuel, but there's a desire to serve, yes. Andrea, what did you say?
Sorry, Prabhu, I said the challenges in our life.
Challenges, yeah, that's very close. It's very close. Andrea is very close to the answer that I want. They're all correct. There's no wrong answer. Hearing from scriptures, yeah, that's a good fuel. Curses, Gaura Kumar is the closest so far. Curses, very close, Gaura Kumar Prabhu. What's the fuel in one's life, in the devotee's life? Adipusha Prabhu.
The relationship with the spiritual master who's giving you your prescribed duty.
Yeah.
Because without that, you don't know which way to go, what's a priority and what's desirable and undesirable, because that gives you your guiding star.
Yeah, it's all true.
Your relationship with the spiritual master.
Yeah, it's all true, but I'm looking for the answer that is a little
love of Guru.
Love of Guru, yes. Being instructed by SM. Spiritual master, yes. But let's go back to Gaura Kumar Prabhu's answer. Curses. The answer I'm looking for is has something to do with curses. It's a fuel in the devotee's life. It's something blessings. Yes, Alan. Yes, Alan.
Alan always gets it.
Yeah. So we get ahead in our spiritual life by blessings that we seek from the devotees. And how does that work? How does that fuel work? We try to please the devotees, and thus we get their blessings. That's how devotees get things done in life. We don't count on our strength. We don't count on our trickery of our mind, which is, full of nonsense for the most part, speaking of myself. We go by blessings. That's our food. That's our daily bread. I want to please the devotees by my service, by my attitude, by helping them, by serving them. And by that I attract their blessings. And even Krishna himself, he says that my greatness is coming from my devotees. I am so great, not because I'm spinning the planets around, not because I create universes from the pores of my body, but because I'm being worshipped by my pure devotees. That's what Lord Vishnu told to 4 Kumaras when he was glorifying them, because they glorified him. This is also an interesting story where these 4 Kumaras, they are in toddlers' bodies. And Vishnu's servants, gatekeepers to the spiritual world, did not recognize that they were pure devotees, and they denied their entry into the spiritual world, into Vaikuntha. And the 4 Kumaras got offended because they were in a children's body. They take things very seriously. If you deal with a child, you know that whatever you do, they take things very, very seriously. They can cry, go into a tantrum for nothing, for a very minor reason. So the 4 Kumaras cursed the servants of Lord Vishnu, the gatekeepers. And Lord Vishnu shows up and says, what happened? You cursed my people. And Lord Vishnu immediately takes the blame. It says, it's my fault. It's all my fault that this happened, that my people didn't recognize your purity as devotees. And then the 4 Kumaras said, no, it's our fault. We overreacted here a little bit, and you're so great. They started glorifying Lord Vishnu, and Lord Vishnu said, you're glorifying me, but my greatness is coming from my pure devotees. So that's how this fuel works. We try to please the devotees and get their blessings, and thus we make progress in spiritual life. And In the Nectar of Devotion, Srila Rupa Goswami describes, he quotes Adi Purana, Adi Purusha Purana. He's where it says, in the Adi Purana, there is the following statement by Lord Krishna himself. Krishna is talking to Arjuna, and it's in Adi Purana, and Krishna says to Arjuna, my dear Partha, my dear Arjuna, one who claims to be my devotee is not so. Only a person who claims to be the devotee of my devotee is actually my devotee. No one can approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead directly. One must approach him through his pure devotees. Therefore, in the system of Vaishnava activities, the first duty is to accept a devotee as a spiritual master. That's what Adipurusha Prabhu said. Spiritual master is also a devotee. And then to render service unto him. Okay, it's 8:01. Does anybody have a question or comment or realization to share in this regard? Spiritual fuel. Okay. Andrea says, Hare Krishna, Ananda Vihari Prabhu, I have to leave, but I want to give my appreciation for the class. Thank you for always mixing Krishna consciousness with practical examples. Thank you, Andrea, for your comments, for your being present in class. We are what we do every day, and it's so inspiring to see you coming in for class every day without fail. Excellent, excellent class, Hare Krishna. Thank you, iPhone says. Okay. Grantaraj, Shrimad Bhagavatam, Ki Jai. Henry says, thank you for class. Thank you, Henry. Srila Prabhupada, Ki Jai. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Ananda Vihari.
Yamuna Jaya, 100 megawatt smile. Hare Krishna. Hemangi says, thank you so much, Prabhu. All right. Derek Hansen, thank you for your smile. It's so radiant. Did you see Derek Hansen's smile?
Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's coming every day also. You know, sometimes when we're offering prasadam, offering bhoga, and we bring it to the altar, we're offering it to the spiritual master, and he offers it to Krishna. And I'm thinking, I have no love. But Prabhupada has love for Krishna. So we bring it and we give it to him, and he puts the love in, and then Krishna accepts it. So we're grateful for the love of the spiritual master that he's bringing us. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Okay. Hare Krishna, everyone. Have a wonderful day. Hare Krishna.